As a videographer, you are kind of reliant on the film industry. You're basically saying yes to every job, like you're trying to get as much work as you can. Through the program, within the first 4 weeks, I landed a big client now. I think it came to about 15 grand. The reason why I chose your one was because you had a really good case study. You helped them get from A to B, from videographer to video production agency. But like we're going for 5K, 10K clients now at the moment. And that's kind of like we can focus more on the individual clients now and allocate enough time and resources to fewer clients, yet focus on their results a lot more than trying to do everything for everyone.
Ladies and gents, hello and welcome back to another student interview. This video that you're about to watch is a fantastic one. It's an interview I did with one of my students, Michael, who joined me as a kind of like a freelance videographer of some sorts. And Michael joined me in a position of uncertainty. I mean, he had a skill, he had a service that he wanted to provide, but he didn't know who to provide it to. He didn't know how to price the service properly, and he didn't know how to actually sell it in a sustainable way, which ended up making him just say yes to everyone and anyone who maybe wanted his services. But what we did is we transitioned him from a kind of freelance videographer into a video production agency. He learned how to properly sell, how to properly market himself, and how to price it efficiently to the point of where he went from, $500, $600 for a project to $10,000 plus. He soon after hit his first $10,000 month and can now close projects for upwards of $17,000. And in this interview, he explains how he did all of it. So I hope you enjoy. Let's get cracking.
A bit about my own background. I'm a videographer and I've been freelancing for about the last 3 years, really. The freelance business, like as a videographer, you are kind of reliant on the film industry. You're basically saying yes to every job, like you're trying to get as much work as you can. You're basically saying yes to everything. So you don't really have a business kind of attitude towards it. You're just like focused solely on filmmaking, if that makes sense. And I was doing it for a number of years and I felt, okay, there's obviously more to this, like freelance is its own business. So the goal for me was, how do I start from videographer to say a video production agency? That was the goal. That was always the dream for me. And of course, the day to day is so much different from then just being a videographer, where you're hired to do, say, you just come in and shoot, or you're hired to edit. That's great. Like, if you enjoy the process and you love making videos, then by all means, it's a great way of getting started. But I was like, fuck, I'm making the same kind of mistakes. And what I learned straight away was, with your business course, there was so much, like the modules itself, there was about 20 or 30 different steps, right? And you basically have to check all the boxes before you make a sale. Like before you get money into the account, you have to have about 20, 30 things like ticked off, whether that's the business name, the socials, the case studies, the email sequencing, basically all your kind of email and marketing strategy. It's all in one module. Like you can try and error that yourself, no problem at all, but it will take you so much longer than if you just go through the module and tick all the boxes. There was a load of business development courses that I was aware of. They were all showing results. The reason why I chose your one was because you had a really good case study. You helped him get from A to B, from videographer to video production agency, where he actually has a strategy in place for getting clients on a regular basis. And that's something I always struggled with. And I was like, okay, yeah, if you can help me in that regard, then like even if I could get one sale out of it, then obviously that would be such a huge return for the investment. Like, yes, you can go out on your own, figure it out all on yourself, but it's going to take you so much longer to realize all the different steps involved to land a client and get business in the door, if that makes sense. What I will say, like, I know you probably get a lot of clients or customers in yourself that haven't a business in place. I do want to preface it that I did have a business in place and I did have steps, but I was missing steps, if that makes sense. And I wasn't aware of that. And that was holding me back until I realized, okay, there's actually a structure here. And what Callum does as well, he gives you a framework for the sales call, which is unbelievable as well, like, because that's its own thing altogether, and you can obviously figure that out on your own. But yeah, it's basically the frameworks that you're getting in the module that have been a huge help to the business.
Amazing, that's fantastic to hear. And what was your kind of like, not necessarily your day to day, but I guess your day to day, what did it look like when you were kind of running the agency running as a freelancer compared to an agency? Because you mentioned the kind of transition. What was the biggest difference, do you think?
The biggest difference was, well, I back before the modular, when I was first starting out, I was relying heavily on referrals.
Hmm.
And I was like, it was pure stone man mentality is like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, the work will come eventually. You just keep focusing on the filmmaking, like keep producing the good work and the clients will come. Like that's obviously you want in business, the main thing you need to get right starting off is providing a good service like, before anything. That's my belief anyway. You need to be able to provide value and to get really good at that one skill set. But then that's just the beginning, like that's just the tip of the ice. Like I wasn't aware of the other day-to-days, like literally half my day now is sales and marketing. So I'll spend my whole morning on there's three main areas. There's the networking. Okay, what tasks do I have to do to kind of figure out when's the next networking event and all this, like, and how do I prep for that? And then the other two main areas are like the warm bidding, following up with past clients and trying to bid essentially for contracts and coming up with solutions. Because and then the third one is obviously cold outreach. So like you're trying to do all your tasks that are relevant to those three main areas for me anyway. That's what kind of keeps the business moving forward. So yeah, you could like literally that's its own job as is. But at the moment we focus on sales marketing in the morning and all the project work in the afternoon. And if we overflow, if there's more project work than I can manage, that's when I delegate post-production work. So I'll only spend about 4 or 5 hours in the afternoon on project work. But if we have a high volume that week, then I have contractors that will outsource that work.
Amazing. Yeah, that's incredibly helpful. And was there like any big major changes that you think you made? Like it was like, okay, I'll change this and everything clicked, or was it kind of like a slow progression of like adding stack of blocks on top of each other to make the big result? Or was it like, I don't know, I changed my pricing and everything's flipped, or what was it? What did it kind of look like?
So at the moment, yeah, I've changed the pricing quite significantly. Like I'm saying no to a lot more projects that I would have said in the past, because at the beginning, as I said, I was saying yes to everything. I was doing crazy jobs for like 500, 600 quid. Now it's like minimum 2,500, but like we're going for 5K, 10K clients now at the moment. And that's kind of like we can focus more on the individual clients now and allocate enough time resources to fewer clients. Yeah, focus on their results a lot more than trying to do everything for everyone at stupid little prices, like but look, it may not be relevant to everyone, because at the beginning I think it's so important that people get out there and say yes to opportunities. You need to obviously have the service in place, and obviously you want to charge for your value as well. Don't get me wrong, but starting off, I think it's incredibly important for people to have a case study and to be able to show what they're able to do for other clients and show the results that they're able to get for other clients. When you get to this stage where you have all these markers ticked, that's when you can look at the pricing. Okay, how long is this actually taking to do and stuff like that. But I hope that answers,
No, it does. I think it's like holding yourself to a minimum standard, like this is kind of like hygiene level standard. Nothing drops below this, because I feel like for a lot of freelancers, especially when they're starting off, or even if they've been running for a while, every opportunity that comes in the door is like one they can't afford to miss out on, or they won't let it slip through their fingers, so they'll take it. But actually, sometimes when you start saying no, it's quite empowering, because you're like, I have set myself to this standard where I'm only going to take on jobs and gigs that meet my level and requirements for like, what we're happy to work with. And at that point, it's even so much of a big change in your pricing, but it's a big change in what you'll take on, and then obviously what you charge, it's quite like it's quite a big like flip of a switch, because you can go from charging, as you said, 500 quid for a job to 2.5 to 5 grand for a job. And the actual delivery isn't crazy different. It's just how people kind of perceive you, and they go, well, this is like a legit agency and they probably do a good job.
Yeah. It's the packaging as well. And another thing I will say about the course as well, when you take on a course like this, like it raises your standard so much, like it makes you accountable. Like I think that's ultimately what you're paying for, because like, you're on your own, you're going out on your own, But when you have like a team, like the community and yourself, Callum, that do the weekly calls and stuff like that, and then you have instant access as well, you know, you're at a much higher standard than what you think you can be at, and that will give you the confidence as well to say, okay, this is the price that we're charging for this service, and this is the value and the results that I'm able to deliver at this price. So I think it gives you the confidence, gives you the accountability, and it raises your standard. Ultimately,
yeah. I've always found that for a lot of other people, when they kind of go through that process of increasing their pricing, they almost get frustrated at themselves that they didn't do that beforehand. And it's just like an easy thing, just change the pricing, and people will just see it in a different manner. And it's like, Jesus, why didn't I do that, a year ago, 2 years ago? But obviously, being in an environment where it's almost like someone would, I would scoff at you if you said, I charge 500 quid. It's like, I probably have to charge more than that then. But yeah. And how was your kind of like, is your team grown as well as kind of like a result of going from freelancer to agency, or what does that look like?
So it's still myself operating, and then we just scale up and scale down depending on the project. So it's all freelance. It still remains a freelance agency that I have. So like it just depends on the projects. Like we'll hire videographers, sound recordists, and then editors as well, just depending on the project. Like realistically, if I just spent my whole day doing the sales and marketing, I'd be delegating a lot more of the production, if that makes sense. My heart is still video making and being in creative control. It would be amazing, obviously, to grow it out and to have full-time positions for people, and even have boys on for sales and marketing as well. And I'm sure that down the line that's something I want to go at. You can delegate every position, like, and pull yourself out of the business entirely. It's up to yourself, really. I'm still I'm still not there yet. I don't know if it is a goal of mine to have full-time employees as of him. I'm still just focused on landing the big clients and then freelancing, delegating, contracting out the work. I think that's a sound business model for me.
Amazing. Yeah, I think that you become just like a person manager as you start to build out your team, and that kind of takes away from the reason you started the business in the first place, right? It's because of the creative pursuit. So no, I get that completely. And in the past couple of months, like numbers wise, how's the business grown?
Yeah, so growing wise, like through the program, within the first 4 weeks, I landed a big client. Now I think it came to about 15 grand.
What's the kind of next step for you and the business as a whole?
That's a very good question. Just keep trying to land those big clients. Yeah, like that's a good question. I actually haven't really thought about the next 2-year plan, 5-year plan. But like the goal is to just keep up with the 10K months to try and get there. We're doing that with growth, but it's not net fully. That's the challenge at the moment this year, to get 10K net per month. Yeah, that's the biggest goal at the moment.
100%. Amazing. What was the business on before, when you were kind of focusing more just on the freelancing side of things?
Oh, so it would be up and down. Like I was lucky. I get different jobs. Like now in fairness, we did have 10K months in the past, but then you'd have like 500 euro months as well the following month. So that was just luck and getting I remember I was doing I had to pivot from documentary because we were getting these we got a grant. I applied for a grant to do a local documentary in the town, and I remember the museum commissioned the piece and stuff like that. And I wouldn't be looking for grants now at the moment because that's obviously unreliable. And at the time, as I said, I was freelance, so I was just interested in making video pieces. I wanted to be a filmmaker. I wanted to be a documentary filmmaker. So that was an amazing opportunity at the time. But yeah, I was lucky to do throughout the year. It was 2-3K, But since it's nearly double and triple that now, and it's a lot more consistent.
That's all fine. Then my last question, just kind of to round it all off, is who's the kind of person, or what position would they be in that you would kind of recommend them, the inner circle, and you'd be like, this is probably a good position for someone to jump into something like this? Would they have to be in the same position as you, or what kind of place would they be in, do you think?
That's a good question, because straight away I would say, for filmmakers, for a videographer, for someone in my position before the course, so a videographer who who doesn't want the freelance, who wants to become a video production company, because I think that's the dream for a lot of filmmakers when they're in college. They're like, because there's two routes that you can go. There's like, you can go into the film industry and work your way up from the very bottom and then become like a senior producer or whatever. Like, or the second route is starting your own production and building your client base and building that way. And that's the most daunting kind of avenue for filmmakers to go into. And they don't teach that I went to film school, like they don't teach the business side or the how to do contracts or any of the financing side. So like for me anyway, what I can recommend is any videographer or someone who's starting out who wants to go out on their own. I think it's really important that, you know, if you do have a small bit of capital to spend, then like the fastest track that you can get into is, you know, investing in a mentorship program and having a guide and where you can just tick off the 20 boxes within a matter of 1 to 4 weeks and that hit the ground running. Because like, as you said, I was given a guarantee with this course as well that I'll stay on the course until I land a client. And of course, that was obviously a no-brainer then, because you want to get results for whoever joins the course. And that's obviously, that's a benefit to yourself. So I could say for nearly anyone who wants to start out on their own, because the business principles are the same across the board, that it would benefit nearly anyone who wants to go on their own, whether that's, you know, a marketing agency, you know, any SEO, whatever it is like that you're looking to get in, what skill that interests you. Because I know that's another one you teach as well. You focus on one skill at a time and then you grow the business from that's obviously something I didn't look at because I had my skill, but it was about, for me, it was about just building on the business and actually creating a business where it looked, or I got the credibility and, you know, I was able to show that I was a running business.
Having some kind of skill, having maybe a tiny bit of momentum in like a kind of freelancing position and wanting to like kind of systemize it and turn it into something bigger than themselves, would you kind of say?
100%, yeah. So like across the board, I think, as I mentioned already, like there's so many steps that you're just not aware of. There's a structure there. And even the framework on the phone, like that was something I would always struggle and I'd avoid because I didn't know the correct approach when I was on the phone to someone. That alone is worth the money, like just to be able to know how to direct a conversation. Yeah, that's an unbelievable advantage to have. Like, and yes, like there's loads of answers online, there's loads of help online that you can find, but there's so many nuances to your own journey that you're not going to be able to join all the dots online for free. Like you need that extra support and that help where you can ask nuanced questions that only relate to you. I think is such a super hard, you know, thing to figure out on your own. So yeah, I think it's relevant to anyone who's trying to start out.
Amazing. I appreciate that, Michael. I think that's incredibly helpful as well. Just like advice wise. Yeah, I think people are going to take a lot from this, which is fantastic. So I massively appreciate you kind of spilling those beans.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.